Hello viewers and listeners, welcome to a Sophos Facebook Live session. On my left I have Sophos security expert James Birchall, give us a wave. On my right I have Matthew Boddy. Hello Matt. I was going to say Matt's the one wearing the Sophos shirt, but he's the one with the biggest Sophos on it. Today's topic, gentlemen, is Sophos Intercept X, our brand new product. Why would I buy it? So what I want to start out with is that some people have got this idea that this brand new product of ours, Sophos Intercept X, it's kind of a second antivirus. You can run it alongside an existing antivirus, whether it's Sophos or anybody else's. So there's also a perception from historical reasons that you can't have two antiviruses on the same computer. They'll go to war, your computer could implode, all of that stuff. So why would I buy it? Is it just a second antivirus, or is there a bit more to it than that?
Yep. I suppose, first off, it isn't just an antivirus engine. It's not another antivirus engine. It is way more than that. And it has a really unique approach to actually adding a second layer, or extra layers, not just one, but extra layers of protection to your machines. So yeah, it's always been that idea, isn't it, from the very paranoid amongst us, that we want more than just one opinion on an endpoint to look at our security.
But this isn't quite like the old thing that people used to do on their email gateway, where they said, oh, I want two virus engines, I want two things that do exactly the same job and have a different opinion. It's not really a second opinion, is it? It's not actually a second antivirus. It has a separate lot of technology, some of which works pre-execution, like a traditional antivirus, so that it's looking at a file or some activity before it allows it to happen, so it can do complete prevention. And there's a second part, exploit prevention, which works at runtime to look for misbehaviors that could be malware or could just be a badly behaved program that's putting your security at risk. So it can stop threats before they start, but also has this exploit prevention component that actually looks for what the bad guys are up to.
Yep.
I'm just going to stop you a second, guys. Really sorry, we're sideways, so we're just going to turn you the right way round.
How do we get? Oh, that way.
There we go.
Now we're back to normal.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's all.
Dizzy. I'm still dizzy.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, the modern attacks that we're certainly seeing every day. What's it, 400,000 unique samples?
Yeah.
We get it in Sophos Labs. Looking at things pre-execution and also runtime is absolutely key. And having those multiple layers, and multiple technologies, means that we have a great kind of different layers of defense against those, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So being able to stop things pre-execution gives you the ability to stop. You've got so many different layers of defense there on that one system. So
why doesn't your traditional antivirus, most of those work on access or before the file runs? Why do you need a second look at a file that you're at? Is that just in case the traditional antivirus can't cope with it or has missed it? Or is it actually looking for a different way of dealing, especially with that part of the threat that isn't easy to deal with in traditional ways?
Yeah, well, I mean, the traditional approach with signatures, I mean, we've been more than just a signature-based solution for a really long time. But of course, then the signatures, like you said, would detect something and say, I've seen this before, or something similar, so therefore I can stop that from running pre-execution. But then really the question has kind of evolved over time. So what about the unknown unknowns? You know, how do we try and predict what is going to come next rather than just react?
And that's a good point, isn't it? Because this is more of a predictive technology than it is a reactive technology. So whereas in the past we would have had to see those different strains of malware before, this is actually able to predict what it's going to see in the future to be able to stop strains of malware that it may never have seen before.
So the idea is you still need your traditional antivirus. That still gives you good classification for threats of a known sort, but some stuff is going to get through that may be suspicious or otherwise, and the idea is machine learning, or in Sophos' case, we're using a neural network technology called deep learning. What that does is, for the stuff that you're still not sure about, like you don't know whether it's actually malware or actually not malware, you have a second look at it based on what you know about how threats have unfolded in the recent past, which actually gives you a bit more proactivity about how threats are likely to evolve,
Yeah.
even if the crooks are trying really hard.
Precisely, yeah. And you bring up another point there, which is saying that deep learning is a method of machine learning, isn't it? It's a model of machine learning that is used.
Yeah.
But Intercept X, I think a lot of people, they've got this idea, it's Sophos has built this machine learning thing, and Intercept X is just the delivery vehicle for it. That's not the case, is it? There's very much more to Intercept X than just this deep learning thing. That whole exploit prevention is designed to actually look out for behaviors that are commonly associated with programs that, by accident or design, are trying to break the rules and therefore are likely to compromise your security. So in the worst case, that means we've missed malware and it's already started running, and now we've got a last chance to head it off. And in other cases, it means that software may suddenly begin to misbehave in a way it hasn't before. Maybe it's been waiting for its moment, and we're able to step in even then and say, sorry, this far but no further.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that kind of amplifies the importance of having the layers pre-execution and also actually at runtime that you're describing, so we can look for those behaviours, we can look for techniques, we can look for multiple techniques, and maybe they're being combined in a way that we've never seen before, but that doesn't matter, right? If we see one of those being used to abuse, like you said, a vulnerability in an application, a vulnerable application, then we can notify it and then recognise it at that point.
If I can just interject here, there's Triffin has asked a question. Does this feature some sort of keyword filtering? Now, actually, our exploit protection, that's more about stuff that's happening inside a process that's running, isn't it? So keyword filtering, that might be something that you typically use to look for emails that are against your company's policy, or it might look for credit card data that you know is going out, the credit card being the keyword. This is a little, if you like, a little lower level, deeper and different to that, isn't it?
So that's keyword filtering, maybe something you get in a data loss prevention engine that you can get in an email appliance, for instance, and in our traditional endpoint advanced agent, for instance, you do have data loss prevention that can search for keywords in files as they're leaving the organization, whether that be via USB stick or via email or via the web browser.
So that's where you're not really trying to deal with malware there. Somebody means to send an email to somebody, they've put in a list of email addresses or a list of invoice numbers or a list of car registration numbers, and then they're accidentally trying to send it out of the company, head it off at the pass. But the exploit prevention in Intercept X, although it can do that kind of thing, it's geared to look for the sort of behaviors that steal data regardless of what the data is. So it doesn't need to know what a credit card number looks like. It doesn't need to know what a password hash looks like. So it's not looking for specific things. It's good to look for those, because if it is a credit card number, why would you let it out? But it also, you want to know when somebody is grubbing around in the hope that they'll find a credit card number, and then you say, sorry, no more grubbing, because I don't know what you're going to find.
So for instance, hackers for years have used a technique where they try and steal the passwords off of a computer by stealing the SAM file, which is the encrypted passwords that are sitting on a Windows machine, or by stealing the passwords that are kept in plain text that are stored in memory from users that have been logged onto that machine. Now, Intercept X with credential theft is able to stop a hacker that's sitting on that machine from being able to read those files and read those passwords.
So this is perhaps a little, although you need one term for it, we call it exploit prevention, where the crooks try to exploit a security hole to do something bad. I think most people, when they think of exploits, they probably think about things like Eternal Blue, Eternal Romance, or this, that and the other hacky way of making a remote code execution work. However, there's a bit more to it than that in Intercept X, isn't there? For example, this idea that we're looking out for the kind of data that something's getting.
So it's not an intrusion prevention system. It's not going to.
Well, it is, isn't it? It will prevent intrusions.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it doesn't just work in the traditional way. Oh, look, that's a known exploit. It's looking for behaviour.
It's not looking for known exploits. It's looking for what the security researchers will be doing to find those known exploits. The code caving, for instance.
That's a really good technique actually that cyber criminals use to their great advantage actually to manipulate the way that we just respond, and we always respond. So you think of the scenario where...
So that's where you take a legitimate program like a notepad, you find a little gap where there are some blanks or data that's not being used, like an error message, and you stick your malware in there that you can use later, and what that means is Now, as I understand it, for a traditional antivirus to find that, it might be possible, but it would have to look through every byte of every file, and it would run like treacle. Whereas, in fact, that caved code can't really do anything on its own, but the fact that it's buried in a legitimate executable, when you try and do something with it, bad sign.
Yeah, and well, that's actually where this kind of reverse psychology comes in, the fact that that application they've coded out still behaves as it did before. There is no abnormal behavior. The user, and most importantly, probably the IT admin goes, well, there's nothing wrong with it. So if your security solution then does, like you say, eventually detect something a bit dodgy, most people think, well, that's a false positive. So that's
actually there's a question from Ray, which is going to exactly where I wanted to take you guys next, in terms of looking for behavior that where you don't know whether it's malware or not, you don't care, you just don't want the behavior to happen. He's saying, can Sophos Intercept be stopped by malware, say like ransomware, so ransomware can attack? Now, understanding is that the features inside exploit prevention, like CryptoGuard and WipeGuard, those are designed so they don't need to know about ransomware. They just say that any program that behaves like ransomware by scrambling your files shouldn't be allowed to do so, and we should reverse it. So do you want to say something about that sort of, specifically about ransomware prevention, where Intercept X doesn't even need to know it's ransomware? It could be a buggy encryption program that's gone off the deep end and is going to ruin your disk. Would still stop that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, absolutely. Yeah, because like you said, it's not looking for malicious code, even malicious bits of code, and works just as well offline as it does online. You know, it has all of the intelligence within that signature's capability to say, any application, legitimate or not, so even if they're masquerading as a legitimate application, you're still going to notice that technique of accessing files and encrypting them as well.
And if you take NotPetya, for example, so we've spoken about ransomware protection. If you see files being encrypted, that's where it's going to step in and stop those files from being encrypted. WipeGuard, on the other hand, that looks for the full disk being encrypted, and if the full disk is illegitimately being encrypted, then it can stop that from happening as well.
So that's the sort of ransomware that it pretends to be ransomware, but actually what it's doing is just zapping your disk at a sector level, so it can't reboot, you can't pay the money, and you're out time and energy.
Far more disruptive.
Okay, I'm fascinated. I could go on for ages with this. I'm really loving it. But viewers, if you've got any more questions, do ask them. We'll get back to you later. Or just go to sophos.com and sign up for a trial of Intercept X. That's easy enough, and then you can actually see it for yourself. My last question to you guys is, let's say I'm using, well, I hope I'm not, because I work for Sophos, so I'll be in real trouble. Let's say I'm using somebody else's antivirus, and I decide, hey, this... keep your seats. And I buy Intercept X, and I go, great, I've got this second thing from Sophos, it's working brilliantly. In the future, given that I've now got these two vendors on, looking out for me, and I've got, one guy's doing the traditional antivirus, I've got Sophos looking out for all the clever stuff, and so it feels like it's like having two bouncers on your case, not one bigger bouncer. What's the benefit? Why would I switch later to put Sophos endpoint protection with Intercept X? In other words, why does Sophos Intercept X work better with Sophos products? Other than that we would say this, what technical reasons make our products work better together? What have we done to get that sort of advantageous harmony?
I mean, some of the things I've heard from people who have actually made that switch is the fact that, first and foremost, the management. I mean, you're removing multiple agents to have to actually run in the first place, multiple agents to manage in the first place as well, and you then gain also by you shrink it down into one agent and one solution, but then you actually gain more.
And one huge thing that we've not even mentioned yet, which is a huge part of Intercept X version 1 and 2 now, is root cause analysis. You still get the root cause analysis for those traditional detections as well, which gives you all this data that allows you to go back and see where a threat has come from.
Matt, hello Hugo, he just asked a question that relates to the previous one, like the other one backwards, and you've kind of answered it. He said, okay, so the other way around, what advantage will I have if I've got Sophos endpoint protection and I add Intercept X? And that's what you're saying. You get... Firstly, you get extra protection against the stuff that we might miss. You get protection against behaviors that a traditional antivirus is not designed to monitor for, like random wiping of your disk by an otherwise legitimate program. and you get the root cause analysis where when something's happened, even if we blocked it at some point, you want to know where the heck did that come from?
Yeah.
And instead of having to go to a different email product and a different firewall product and a different set of logs for that, you can actually get a picture of how this thing came in and where it was blocked and what it may have left behind and what with the Intercept X.
If you want to know where this file has come from, if you want to know it came from email and somebody has had to click on a link within an email in order for that attack to launch, then you've got that kind of visibility within root cause analysis.
Oh, that's so key.
Yeah,
that's right. The more nodes you have with Sophos, the more information and aggregated data you can take. Cool, I can look at so much more, which means we in turn can give you much more kind of intelligence around that data as well as to how it got in. We haven't even touched on as well. I mean, then that's just the Sophos agent in its own right. What about other Sophos solutions and the fact that then actually if you have Sophos in other areas, the synchronized ability for them to actually interact. I did it, didn't I?
We've got that infinity sign logo with a little thing that moves around. It looks cool, and I think it looks great. But it's actually telling an important story, isn't it? That as we have that slogan, what did it say? Products work better together when they work better together, and it kind of sounds like a truism. But so a good example that I always like is that if the endpoint protection, the stuff that's designed for antivirus and exploits, the Intercept X endpoint protection stuff, figures, hey, something's gone wrong and the protection isn't up to scratch, maybe you missed an update or the configuration went out of spec, then rather than just cut the person off from the computer and freeze their computer entirely, why not just tell our encryption solution, okay, they can carry on using the computer, but all of the encrypted stuff that they've normally got access to, cut them off from it. So in other words, you can get yourself out of the difficulty you've got into. You don't have to go cap in hand to IT. You get through the time where you've got the configuration error. The product kind of protects itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that automation, people obviously really struggle with it. The amount of IT staff I speak to almost on a daily basis who are like, yeah, okay, we get, security can do this, but how do I then also make sure that I know my files are protected at the same time? How can I make my life easier by automating a load of actions, like automatically launching a breach remediation step, right? Which I know everyone likes to do to get that second opinion once you've maybe had the detection of ransomware. So it's building all of that automation in, which is making so many people's lives a lot easier, giving them so much more visibility, and ultimately actually letting them be a real enabler for the business, because they can go back to business and say, look, we're having this, this, and this, and this happen. Can you give us some more time to maybe build a better culture of security or do some more education or whatever it is?
Because there is a feeling amongst many people, not that they've done anything wrong, just a kind of an accident of history, if you like, that computer security is often seen as a cost to be minimized. But really, it's actually something that if you build into your organization properly, in a synchronized security sort of way, it actually increases the value of your business. It's not just, oh, let me try and spend as little as possible. It's what can I do to make my customers trust me more?
I actually see that a lot more people, a lot more organizations are looking at the percentage of the IT budget that they want to spend on security, and they're actually increasing that in recent times.
Okay, I think we've actually overshot our allotted time. Guys, you have been very informative. I love your passion. There's an awful lot to this. I think the best thing for anybody who's interested is get onto sophos.com and sign up for a trial. You can use the product and we'll help you learn how it works, what it can do for you. And my understanding is if you're trying it out and you've actually installed it, and then you buy the license and get a full license key, you don't have to uninstall and reinstall, right? You go, right, I've adopted it, I'm in. So it's not like you're trying it with a special fake version of the product. No. You try the real thing, if you like it, roll it out, same installs that you've already got.
Same console, everything. Yep.
And it can work with other antiviruses by design, not by accident.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thanks everybody for your many questions. We had some that we were slightly about other products and details of licensing, which we'll come and answer now. So thanks for watching, and until next time, stay secure. And apologies that the guys were sideways for a bit. As you see, they can take anything in their stride.